Wait, did it start? I pressed start recording. Yeah, it's maybe it's loading. Okay, there you go.
I got it.
Cool. So yeah, thank you for everyone being here for part 2 of Blender with Brown. Woo! Yay. Okay. And let's go.
Okay,
Let's go to Browntown. Let's go.
let's go to Brown Crown Town. So I got to share my screen, don't I? All right. So today I wanted, so first tutorial, we made pots. Really. I mean, unless you're unless you're Audrey, I guess you're not really gonna be making too many pots for Blender. So today I kind of wanted to take what we learned and kind of make some practice, like show you some of the stuff I've made with it, and then show you like how I made it, so then you can take it and then make your own things with it. So first thing I wanted to show was this little video I made. Oh wait, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Sweet. I have the chat open this time, so I can actually see what you guys are saying. Maybe. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So yeah, so this was a little video for my my icon last semester. It was just a little VR thing, and basically what I did was I was able to take that icon from Illustrator and bring it into Blender, and then do all sorts of fun little things to it. And I'll just let that play again. So I want to show you guys how to take your Illustrator stuff to Blender, because a few places are, what is that one place called? Let me pull it up, because they did something really cool. It's like Beauty something, Amazed Beauty? Dazed Beauty logo. And what they did, basically, they vectored their thing as well and kind of brought it into Blender, and they got this really cool they get this really cool metallic-y imagery, and obviously really quickly this can get pretty kitschy, but I think they use it in a pretty interesting way. I really like that. So yeah, that's one workflow that you can do, and obviously with that you can, if you're just making logos and stuff, you can bypass all the modeling things that I showed you last class. But now I want to show kind of something that I did. So this was just a random spread from a book that I made. It was kind of boring, so I kind of wanted to add a little pizzazz to it. So that pizzazz that I added was just, these really shiny black little blobby things, and I just kind of animated it going through, and it loops around and stuff. And it's something simple, but it adds a little bit of interest, and I like it when it reflects like over in this area and stuff like that. And I just basically, once I was done with it, I just took one frame of it and then had that in my book, and then I felt cool about that, so I just added that more to my book. So I wanted to show you how to actually place posters or other things in the past that you've made into Blender, so then you can then add on to it. So yeah, let's get into the first thing, which is just the bringing in Illustrator files. So let me just get out of all that. So the way you do that is, so here's my Illustrator icon thing that I made, and I think Val told me this. I haven't experimented too much with it, but I think it's best to merge everything all down into one. So then when you bring it in, it's still all down into one. But even when you do that, it's still not all in one. I don't know. But yeah, so here's the little icon I made. Don't judge it too hard. It was a late night. So what you would do is, it's super simple. And all you have to do is, once you have Illustrator open, File, Export as, and then you have all this drop down stuff, and you just want to do SVG, which is Scalable Vector Graphic. And once I already did it, so I won't do it again because this computer is kind of weird with that. Once you export it, a little box comes up, you just check yes, and then you're ready to go. So now that we've got our Blender boy open, let's have some fun. So yeah, just get rid of the cube, and then the way you'd bring that SVG in that you made was you just click here, import, and then Scalable Vector Graphic SVG file, and then where did I save it? I think I saved it. Yeah, Blender. I named it Logo 9. This was the only logo I made. I don't know why I did that. But import, and then you can see, oh, can hardly see it, so you'll just highlight it. And then what we talked about last tutorial, grab this little guy, or you can just hit S and scale way up so you can see it. And you're, oh, there's the VR logo. And next, we'll just get it to be flat. Okay, that was not flat. What the hell happened there? There you go. Bring him up. Yeah, that's close enough. And now, oh, look at that. We have a thingy in Blender. And now, obviously, you can see that it's black. So also the thing to note is you can import it with color as well. And a lot of people played with that. And then the way you'd give it a little bit of geometry, like I did in the video, like this one, it's just you click on it, and right down here in the corner, you see a little. Over here, there's once you click on it, like the new thing shows up, and you click on this guy, then you get all these fun little things to the right, and click on geometry, and extrude is how you. Oh, let me actually. Okay, so I'm going to go into rendered mode, which is once again these little circles up here, one all the way to the right, because it's kind of hard to see when it's only black. But yeah, we'll move the light over a little bit. So just the move tool arrow. Yeah, that helped like 0.2%. So I just took extrude and extruded out. And you can see that for some reason, even though all my shapes were merged, the little lens thingies are separate. So you can obviously just highlight everything and hit Control J to kind of bring it all together. Yep, now it's all together. And we can hit extrude. And I think I did it like twice. So we'll go crazy and do it twice again. And now we have our vector guy. And now once he's here, you know, just like the logo and stuff, we can just like easily add metallic. And obviously I have a little logo, but you can do little illustrations as well, give it that kind of weird look. So yeah, you would just take off the SVG matte, which is what all your colors were saved as in Illustrator. Now you got this pretty little gray guy, and you know you can start adding materials. So materials, that's a big thing I wanted to go through today. The default one, you can pretty much get anything you want with the principled BSDF. That's just the default name for the one material, but there's all these kind of options right here that you can choose from, like as little just things to trim the fat, so you won't have to look through everything. Unfortunately, with most of those, they don't exactly work in Eevee, which is the as we talked about last time. Eevee is kind of if you're doing animation, you don't need it to be really realistic. You would want to do that, but if you're, in this case, since we want to mess with tons of different materials, we would want to go to cycles, and you know it takes a second to load up. But yeah, now that we have that up, you can see all the kind of light bouncing going off around here. So now that we have that, we can start actually messing with the things. So we'll just start from the top. So you can either, you know, you can click these default guys for this and go off of those, but I'll just go off because this is the basic one you're going to be using if you use it. So subsurface, that's you know, I don't have a flashlight on me, but you know, the thin parts of your skin, like it lets light through, and you can basically simulate that. I don't really think it would work with this model because there's no real thin parts. You can see it kind of gets the weird kind of blue and reds that skin has, and it'll look better in the render, obviously. But this one's if you have really strong light and you have a thin object like paper or something and you want it to blast through a little bit, and you can change the color of that, obviously. And obviously up here you can change it to, what did I do? I did like a weird orange for mine or something. Yeah, so I'll just leave it orange for now. And then with the other sliders, all of them are pretty straightforward except like towards the bottom. Metallic, obviously you can scale it up and make it metal. It's not going to look metal because I don't have any fancy lighting on it. And you know, specular, that's how it will react to the the power of light that you have on it. Roughness, if you want it to be super smooth and pretty reflective, you'd crank that all the way up. I mean, all the way down. So don't crank it up. That'll make it very not shiny. And then that's basically all I really use. The other ones, they're so IQR and transmission and stuff. That's how you would get glass things, and I'll show a little bit of that later once I have my poster thing on the board, the screen. But basically, I don't really mess with that. I let Blender do it for me, so I'll just click on this and click glass. You can, it'll take a sec to load up, but you can kind of tell already that it's going to be transparent and stuff. So, and then now it trimmed down the fat for me, so now I know, okay, I really only need to play with the roughness and the IQR little sliders. And that's also how you would then go to like, don't ever click hair one. I don't know what the hell that does. I don't know how you make hair with that. You can do like a toon shader, so you see now it's really trimming off a lot of the light bounces and stuff. You can get a really cartoony look. That's pretty fun. That requires a lot of tweaking though. I don't really mess with that too much. But let me go back a little bit. Yeah, let's go to there. There's all these other ones that you can do. Background. We'll go over background in a second when we actually add the poster in. But yeah, those are basically. And then once you feel comfortable with what each one does, you would then okay, we didn't talk about this at all in the first tutorial, because all these tabs up here, modeling, okay, that's pretty normal. Then like sculpting, this looks a little different, and then it gets kind of really really kind of confusing in the beginning. And there's even a scripting thing over here. I don't even know how to do that. I've never used this before. Maybe someone smarter than me can figure that out and what it's for, but I don't use it. So basically, with the shading one, it uses nodes, and I was first introduced through, I watched a lot of indie game developers, and they use a lot of these dorky things. But basically, you can see, I clicked on my object. So this is basically another way to look at the materials that you just made. So you can see there's my glass one that I already added. And you can see up here, we kind of have a weird screen. If we click that, it'll be more what we're used to. And don't even ask me what this stuff on the left does. I don't even look at that. But yeah, so with this, you can get really advanced with the like the exact material, and it's cool because even on like Pinterest and stuff like that, it'll like there's just screen grabs of like the result on the top, and then just materials that people made. So people make like a cement one. You saw the Jello one. I just stole that set up from Pinterest as well, of how to make a Jello material, and like concrete, blah blah blah, all those fun ones. And you can get super advanced with this. A great way to like just getting yourself used to it is so you see, I'm just gonna hit X, which is the delete in Blender, and then Shift A, which is add. But now it's giving us different things to add. So I'm just gonna add a normal one, principled BSDF. So you can see that's a direct just a rip from the old screen that we have over here. And then like let's say, okay, we want it to be kind of transparent, but Jello isn't completely transparent. So we would just Shift A, so add the glass thing. So now you see we have two materials here, and we want to mix them both. So easily we can just Shift A again, and I add a mixed shader. Yes. And then you see there's these fun little green dots and little thing you can drag out. You just drag out one, drag out the other, and now it's mixed. And then you would take the this final guy here, shader, and then plug them into surface on your material output. Now you can see, okay, it's we don't have a background right now, so you can't exactly see that it is see-through, but it is see-through. And the way you would, so like this is like half and half, but if you wanted it to be more solid, you'd crank it all the way this way, and then the more you crank it to the right, it would be your other shader. So now you can see we have a kind of a stained glass kind of look. And yeah, that's basically all the introduction to materials. You could obviously play with more stuff. We can make it super black, make it black glass, or we can make it a weird YouTuber black jello. I'm sure somebody's done that before. But yeah, so that's what we have there. So now that we know all this material kind of information, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. This is no fun. Let's do the poster thing now. So, poster thing. What we need to, so first we need our poster actually in Blender. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you want the actual poster to be interactive with the scene, you would just go up here to add, and then you can add a little plane. See, now you have your fun little plane. You can scale him, and I'm just going to eyeball this one for now, but whoopsies. So how big is my poster? I don't even remember. So yeah, I'll just try and make a plane that size, and it won't be exact, but I'm hoping it won't be exact, so I can actually show you guys how to get it to work. So yeah, now we have this guy. We'll just say that's good. And now what we want to do is go to materials again, hit new, and base color. And since we want our actual image that we already have, you click on this little yellow guy, and then this whole huge menu comes up. You would then hit image texture here, boom, it's open. And then you see it comes up with this little option, and you click open, and then we'll go to my thing. I made a lower res version of the poster because once you start messing with the UV maps and stuff, I found that on Teams it slowed it down a lot for some reason, so I just made a lower res. So open image. And now if you see so nothing happened, but if we go to rendered mode, I'll actually see, poster's there, but it looks really, really wrong. So before we mess with that, because when we ultimately render this out, we want the actual poster to be lined up, and we don't want any kind of perspective on it. So we'll have to adjust our camera to fit that. So, back over here, we have the camera icon. See, we can click through it now. And now if we highlight the camera, and since we want it to be perfectly flat, no angles or anything, we just go to the cameras. So this orange square, if you remember, this is where you adjust the location and the rotation, or like you can adjust them more refined. So we can click on this, and we're just going to set everything to 0, so there's no wobbliness on it. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Oh, it's already 0. That's nice. 0. So now, okay, well, where the hell am I, Kevin? Okay, well now you would just go back to, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the there's a little tiny arrow up here. Bring that out. It brings up this screen. And now if we lock camera to view and just zoom out a little bit, you'll see that we're perfectly in the center and we don't need to adjust anything. But our poster still kind of sucks. So I'm just going to, once again, I'm just going to line this up. See, I turned it to the right, but you can see I'm a little bit off, and you can also see that in the what is this even called? Object Properties tab. So I'm just going to make that -90. Boom, and then I'm just going to go into my, and you can untick camera to view now, because we're not going to be using that anymore because we have our camera in the spot that we want it. So I'm just going to make this, I'm going to scale it up with the scale tool, and then I'm going to scale it out just so it matches the camera viewport perfectly. And now that I have this, so now we also want to adjust the image that we actually have. And also I wanted to say this because I know MK is going to be playing with it later in the semester. Instead of an image, you would just select a video, and now your video is going to be put on the plane now, and that's how you would make TVs in a scene with actual things playing and other things like that. But there's another thing you have to do for video, but that's a pretty simple. It's just playing with something in here. I think there's like once you put the video in, you say how many frames you want it to play for. But yeah, once we have him all set up, now we're going to go into the ugliest tab in Blender, and that's the UV editing tab. And now you can see if I zoom out here, okay, there's the actual image, and then I'm going to hit the camera again and hit the render thing again, and you can see that now if we now we're actually going to, so I'm going to select the object. So right now I'm in object mode. I select it, tab, go into edit mode, and then I'm going to hit 3 to go into faces mode. Now if I click on it, you'll see that this area lights up too, and that's actually so that what that actually is that that's showing me like how this square is projecting onto it. So if you see, I'll hit A and select all of these, or I can just do this, and I'm just going to hit S again, and you can see if I scale this thing down, okay, that's what it's projecting, and you can see we're crooked right now. So I'm going to hit rotate. I'm going to scale it and rotate it a little bit, and boom, now it's, and you can obviously, you can get more precise with this when you do it. But yeah, so now, okay, now we're the right thing, but it's really not the right size at all. So we're going to scale it up again and say, okay, well, we're still not the right size. And now we're going to scale it out, and we'll see, oh, look at that, we are all good. And if you go past it, it'll just keep repeating over again. If you can make it super, and if you, obviously you can flip it like this. But yeah, now that we have this thing up, and I actually think my plane isn't even the right size, and that's there's probably a more specific way you can do it, but I just if you know me and anything that I do, I'll just eyeball it and hope for the best, and then later I can adjust my actual dimensions of the rendered image to match the actual poster. So yeah, that looks about right to me. So now that we have that up, I just want to quickly go over, because I know, like I'll mention MK again, she's going to be doing a TV thing. So once she actually has the, let's just, okay, don't judge me, I'm going to do a TV speed run really quick. It's not going to look very good, but we can also go back through modeling stuff again. So I have the cube up tab. I'm going to hit 2 so I can get into edge mode. And then I'm going to add a few edges. So that's Control R. Whoops. Control R. And I'm just going to click it and then move it to the sides. And then I'm going to do that with every edge. So boom. Hopefully you can see where I'm going. If you can't, I understand, because this doesn't even look like a TV at the moment. And it probably won't, but that's okay. So yeah, we're going to click that in, boom. So now we have that thing, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click 3, go into faces, grab this guy. If you remember, I'm going to hit E and extrude him in a little bit. Ooh, that's a cute TV. Yeah, it's looking good, right? Okay. And I'm going to hit E again, and then hit S. Kind of do that. Now that I have that there, I'm going to just move it out a little bit. And then now I'm going to go into edge mode and hit all the edges again. I don't even know if this is going to work. I'm really just going. I've never sculpted a TV before. Yeah, I'm just going to sculpt that in, and then middle mouse to get more edge loops. It doesn't look quite right, does it? Okay. You get the idea. Usually you would probably make that smoother, but since I'm speed running it, that's okay. And we'll also take this and just for a little good old-fashioned style, we'll select all the edges back here. I'm just going to hit S to scale it really quickly. Don't the old like TVs have like a little weird bump on the back? Okay, I'm just going to hit E, and then I'm going to do the scaling thing. Make it like that, and then I'm going to hit E again, scale it out, and then scale it in like that again. Yeah, that looks like a TV, I think. Yeah, so okay, so now that we have that out, so obviously with a TV, I don't know if you guys knew this, but with TVs, the image projected from the TV is only on the screen. So we want to mimic that. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight every face that's on the screen. Oh, wait, first, give it all material, new, and we'll make it just slightly darker than that. I'm not in cycles. I'm sorry, guys. Boom, now we have a TV. So now that we have slightly, let's make it even darker. Boom, TV. So now that we're here, tab, select all the faces, create a new material. Boom, new. And let's just do an image texture. I'll just do the same one. I think that's all I have at the moment. Where should go? Lower res, boom. Now, so now that we added that one, you see, oh, nothing happened. Well, because now we have to assign it. So we're going to hit assign, and you can see, oh, there's a little, looks kind of like a road, actually. That's kind of cool, whatever. And now that we have the actual, and you would just do this with a video if you had a video to play on the TV. But now if we go into UV editing, you'll see, so now you'll see, I click on these spaces. Oh, sorry. What you want to do now is, so now we have this TV. You'll notice that like, it's definitely not supposed to be a road. It's messing up my geometry a little bit. So what we have to do is we have to tab, go into edit mode, hit A to select everything, and you can kind of see what's going on here. And if you hit U, when you're over this thing, so if you hit U, which is unwrap, you get this stuff, UV mapping, and you want to click unwrap it because we've edited the geometry. So that's what you see on the left is not exactly what we're going for. So unwrap. Okay. Maybe it was exactly what we were going for. Who knows? Let's see. See, that's more accurate to what we want. Obviously, in the other mode, you can notice that, like you saw that it was a square. I don't know if you guys saw Cody's his branding handout where he had his yellow CDY square, and let's say he lost the square, Jenny destroyed his square, and Cody's like, oh shoot, now I have, but I still didn't get a picture of it. He could then come into Blender, make a cube, project all the faces, and then in his document, which he's already probably laid out as a square, just mix the faces to it. Of course, it was just a square, so you could probably just remake it again. But yeah, now you can see that, okay, it's starting to get more normal, but you'll notice that, okay, that's just some random text. But if we highlight all these faces again, you'll see what's happening because our face is, the actual thing of our, on our image is so small. But if we talked about scale it up, and then let's just move it here. Whoops, I missed something. That's fun. Highlight it again. Move it here. It looks upside down on the thing. Nice. Yeah, and obviously this isn't to scale because this is definitely not the image I made was not the size of the screen. But now you'll see you can kind of, if it was to scale, I would actually be able to get it to be the size of the screen. But you can kind of see if you were watching this weird green A channel, how it would play. And if it was a video, it would start playing. Anyway, TV speedrun over. Let's get back to the thing. So now we have this thing, and it's a poster, and we already designed it. And we're like, okay, well, why is it ugly and white up here? It's because the material is actually being affected by the light that we have. And you can do that, and there's probably a way to do this in a cool way. But if you don't want that, what you would do, so anything you don't want to be affected by lighting or anything like that, you would go to principled, you would just change it to background. So now you see we have a plain white background. We have to re-add our image texture. So that's color, image texture. And then instead of opening it up again, we can just, it's already saved, so we can hit low res. And there you go. So now it's, you'll notice that it's not affected by the lighting at all. So now all we have to do is add on our objects on top. And in mine, what I did, where am I? There he is. So what I did was I just added little blobby guys, and I liked the way they kind of, you know, mixed into each other and stuff. So that is a new material that I only like, I always wondered how people did that, and then I realized it was just, instead of mesh, you just hit metaball, and then you have these other kind of options of things you want to use. And I don't know if you guys know Liz. They graduated last year, and what they're doing right now is they like create like humanoids with this kind of blobby material, and it looks really cool. So so what I just was doing there was, you'll notice when I just added it, it was very much blocky and stuff. If you lower these two things, so I lower it down so it gets more circly, if you will, and then I match it. So the first one, that's the viewport, that's just what I'm looking at, but when it renders, you also want it to be that as well. And basically that's for, like, let's say I have tons of these little things. Obviously, the more information I have on the screen, the slower it's going to make it. So in viewport, I would crank it up to, you know, something super simple, but when it finally renders, then it would go to the higher kind of value. So yeah, I'm going to add that in. And now with this new shape kind of guy, let's see what, I mean, we don't have to do exactly what I did, but I'll just, if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. So I'm adding this here. And I looked like I had another kind of ball. Yeah, I had one right there. So I'm just going to take this, and like we talked about before, Shift D, and you're like, okay, it just made it bigger. Well, I would say you're wrong. And what I just did was I just duplicated it, and now you see that, ooh, look at that. Some fun. Here, let me go into normal mode just so you can see it better. So yeah, now it mixes in like that, and you can take this, hit S, scale it down, move them up, and see now we have something I think pretty similar to what I did before. And how you would get, and these are a little bit weirder than normal shapes. You have to click the outside circle if you want that one thing to move. See, there's a little circle around it. Yeah, I don't know why it's like that, but that also happens with modeling as well. So what I had was, it goes through this whole thing, and then you know, each of these shapes, they move somewhere, but then they move back by the time the animation is ready to loop. So that way I have a seamless loop. So how you do that, and we'll get into a little bit of animating things pretty simply now, but this is pretty much how you animate anything in Blender. Like, let's say you have a character's hand or whatnot, it would move kind of the same way with just these keyframes. And it's very similar to After Effects, which is why it was pretty easy for me to get into for the motion graphics class, despite knowing like nothing about it at the beginning. But yeah, so if I just click on this little guy, so I want to move this guy like this through the scene. So he starts there, and I'll start down here is the little timeline editor. So frame 1, and I click on my orange square again, the object properties. And what you do is you can either right click it and insert a keyframe, or you can just hit I on top of it, which inserts keyframes, and that becomes just natural at some point because you do it so much. So I'm going to do that. And since I'm not messing with rotation, I'm not going to add a keyframe because I'm just moving this guy from from up there to down there. So I added a keyframe, and now I will. So now that I've added the keyframe, I'll move to like let's just make this yeah, we'll go 250. So this is going to be 250 frames, and that's also how you calculate how long an animation is going to take to render. So if it takes 10 seconds to render one frame, okay, we'll multiply that by 250, and then that's how long your whole animation is going to take to render. And so if you have something that takes a minute to render, it's going to be 250 minutes until it's done, which, you know, if you've got a project due the next night, you leave it on overnight, hope nothing goes wrong, and bada bing, bada boom, it's there. But yeah, so we'll just go halfway through 120, and I'm going to move it here to the bottom. And I'm going to hit another, I'm going to hit I again, because as you can see, once I moved it, all this stuff changed up. So you just hit I again. And down here, you can see the keyframes, and you'll see, oh, look at that. It goes up and down. But yeah, and you can notice the difference, the main difference between this and After Effects when it came to keyframing animations is this one automatically eases eases, I'll just say eases, automatically eases the thing, whereas After Effects you have to right click easy ease and then adjust it from there. And the way you would go about, you could turn it off if you want just by right clicking. So that's going to be in interpolation mode, and right now it's in Bezier curve, and you just want it to be linear. So now you'll notice that there's no slowdown at all. It just kind of go, okay, there was a slowdown. I lied, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did there. Oh, it's because I didn't have the other frame selected. So linear, so now it's just going to move straight, no slowing down. It's just a constant shift, whereas easing just kind of, you know, it was fast in the middle, but then it slows down at the end. And I think that looks nice. I definitely overused it in all my motion graphics work. But what I'm going to do now is, because I want it to end exactly where it began, so it'll be a seamless loop. So I will just grab the big guy, and I will copy. So I'm going to click on the first frame, copy, and then paste it right here on the last frame. So now it's just going to, and it's going to go back up. Okay, it did something weird, but you get the idea. Wonder why I did that. Oh, it's because, okay, so what I did before, I never undid it. So if I make it all Bezier curve, now it'll, slow down, and then it'll speed back up. And now it'll be a seamless loop. And I just basically, that was what I did with every single little ball here. You'll see that, see this guy, this guy right here, he started over here, he went there, and he's going back, and the little guy came in. And yeah, it's just basically, I just did that with all of them. And I wanted it to feel like, so right now it's just these little gray guys right now. I wanted it to be very shiny black material. So basically what I did was I went to materials, new, and I made it, I think I made it just solid black. We'll go a little crazy. We'll make it, let's make it ugly. Let's make it solid green, yeah. And then I just turned the roughness down all the way. And you can kind of see right on the edges here, you can see that it's reflecting my my image. And this was another idea I almost did, where I just had a glass. So and this would have been cool. I don't know why I didn't do it actually. But yeah, so you can see that now as it moves, it goes sicko mode on my type and makes it all stretch out and stuff, which was kind of, if I thought about it more, I could have made it cooler, but I went with the black balls instead, which is great to go with. Yeah, and you can size up any of these things, and you saw when I added them, there's more shapes to meta balls, and the way you would build a, let's say, build a character like Liz is doing, you would just, you know, take it. Okay, let's start giving him some arms, and we can stretch them out and stuff. She's way better at doing this than me, obviously. So, you know, This is how she did it, not exactly what she did. What they did, sorry. Okay. And boom. And see, I can make a little thing. But yeah. So now that we have that, I'll show you how I did the black, because you'll notice on my thingy, it had these cool little reflections on it that really sold the effect. But you'll notice that if I just go to Principled BSDF, make it metal, and then make it, I wonder what I did. Oh, I think I used the glossy actually material. Yeah, I think that's what I did, because then I can make it a little, like, still react to that shine, and that's all right. It doesn't look too bad. It looks kind of weird. So what I actually did was I made it maybe like very dark gray, so that way you could still see it reflecting off of and like interacting with the actual poster that I did. But what I had to do was after I added this, so the reason that whole thing is kind of gray is because it's reflecting my poster and the environment I have it, which is just at the moment a solid gray environment. So what you would do to change that is you would go to this little world icon, world properties, color, and then same with adding an image texture, you click this, but instead you hit environment texture, and it turns everything pretty in pink. And what you would do after that is you would go to, that is Teams. I wonder if you guys have said anything. Sweet. You'd go to HDR Haven, or you can download it from anywhere else you want. And basically these guys have free environment textures for you. And what these do, these are great. These are a good way to just get a really realistic look really quickly. And you can see down here, so I download this, I add it to the thing, and it shows me kind of what it's going, like approximately what it's going to look like. So then you click, I'll download one. So I'll just download this 1K one. And what was it named? It was named Nether. Okay, Rock Castle. That's cool. And you'll open that. Go to downloads, right? And usually I have a folder just of tons of these things. So they're all free. So I'll open them up. And you'll notice now, oh, there's a little sky. I don't know why. I did like an interior for mine. You can see from the little windows and stuff, but this looks kind of cool. And we have that. Make it a little smaller. And look at now. Now it kind of has that newer kind of look. I kind of wish I did the glass one. The glass one looks really kind of cool. Let's see if I turn that up. So you see now I'm also getting that cool kind of glass effect. Like water, I guess. You never know. Yeah, that's basically what I did for this guy. But obviously don't limit yourself to just throwing little shapes and stuff on top of it, because you could totally do so much more. If I were, I'll do a quick little, I've wanted to do this, but I've never found a practical use for it. I'll get rid of my, so basically what I just did after I had one ball, I just made tons of them and then like resized them and stuff, and then just had them all kind of vibrating around like that. But what I also could have done is I wanted some cool texture or whatever. What you also can do is obviously you can add just a physical texture on it, like make it, like I was mentioning before in the shading tab with like the concrete texture, you can make out your concrete texture, but then also do what I did before and add like a mixed shader, so you can mix that with your actual image, and that could be cool. But now that I'm on these big boy computers, what I can do with the thing I just made is, like, let's say I wanted to kind of have like I have this rectangle thing right here. Oh, and side note, if you want to turn off the little background texture, you can. You saw I downloaded the 1K version. If you want it, like for John's class, we had the environment texture actually show. In that case, you would download a higher res one, because then you know, then it would be it would actually be presentable. But this one's not very presentable. So what you would do is just go up to camera, render properties, film, and transparent. So now it's just back to, it has this weird chess board thing, no chess pieces. But yeah, so what I'm going to do for this guy is I'm actually going to, and this might look really bad, but yeah, hopefully you can kind of get the idea of what you could theoretically do with it. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to add a little cube. I'm going to go into color mode just so I can see it without the shading and stuff. I'm just going to scale this up. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this the same kind of size as the rectangle thing that I did. Boom. Boom. Move it down a little bit. What I could do is move that down, and then if I go to this, I hit tab, hit A to select everything, and then I do the subdivide. I'm just going to keep subdividing until I have a good amount of fun things to work with. And now I'm going to go to this, add cloth. Oh, okay, so when you add cloth, you have to be on frame 1, or else it's going to freak out on you. So yeah, add cloth, and I'm going to add a collision to the cube. And now if I hit play, you'll see that my thing is about to... Okay, well, if I wanted it to actually have an effect, I would actually have to give this some lighting, because I want there to be, I don't know, wrinkles or something on the actual rectangle that I'm doing. So I'm going to scale that down, and I'm just going to quickly add back my image texture. And I'll have to mess with the lighting if I wanted to do this. But now you see it's like, okay, what if I made my and it's, so if you want it to be smoother, you can just do that, or you can add more geometry. And it's like, okay, what if I wanted to add this kind of element to my thing? Or what if it actually looks kind of cool just from, I always, you might have seen it from my Instagram, but I always like the look of the behind the scenes things. So I would probably post that one as well. But yeah, see, now I'm paused and I can just render this out. I can adjust the lighting and stuff to make it match the actual poster I had. Stuff. And what was I about to do? I don't even remember what I was about to do. I wanted to go through, because I know Val and a few other people wanted me to go through this again, just rendering it out. So now that we have this kind of ugly little thing, let's go back. Let's actually just make it fall straight on its side, because it's a suspicious design anyway. So we'll just, so now if we go to render, then we can hit play until we, okay, I think I like that. It's kind of what's cool like that. And now if we adjust our camera again, obviously we've gone a little off script right now. But I wonder what that does look like if we go back to background. I'm getting sidetracked, I'm sorry. Yeah, it just looks squash. We'll keep it this way. And normally we would just adjust the lighting so it wouldn't be so bright like that. But if you want to, if you hit Control B and then highlight the area of your render, you can actually just crop out everything so you can actually see how it would look. And now to get it to render good, but and if it was an animation, you wouldn't want it to take too much time. So if you were just rendering an image, you would probably just keep it at 128. But since, just for the sake of the class, I'll just change this number down to 80. And this is basically how many calculations it's going to run over our thing. If we tick on adaptive sampling, that'll make it so it'll be like, okay, this area has way more going on than this area. Let's not spend all 80 of our calculations here and maybe move some of them here. So that makes it quicker. Denoising is if your image is still blurry afterwards, but it adds like a significant, not significant, but if you're doing an animation, it's a significant amount of time to your render. So I'll check it on just because we're doing one thing. And then light paths, you'll have to actually like think about your scene and you see all this stuff. 12 is usually not, you don't really need 12 if you're going to do all this. So we'll just go to 6. Diffuse, we do have diffuse lighting because the lighting does trickle out. Glossy, yeah, there is a little bit of shine. We have to keep that. Transparency, we have none of that. So just bring that all the way down to 0. Transmission, maximum number of bounces. I usually turn that down to like 5, just because I don't really know what it does, but I'm sure it's important to somebody. And we have transparent, and then performance, tiles. So basically when you go to, I don't know if it'll actually render on this computer, but yeah, it is. So tiles is basically those orange kind of squares that you have, and you can adjust the size of them to some degree. But yeah, and you'll just have to mess with that. Like I usually, for my computer, I usually go for 200. If I go any higher than that, it slows it down. And if I go any lower than that, it's not as fast as it could be. And that's kind of just the number I did. So for example, let's say, wonder how far back I can undo this. It's going to take a sec. I want to just show you, like, so with the other scene, I want to show you kind of the calculations I would do for that as well. Okay. So let's just pretend that never moved, and we'll add another sphere. Bring him up. And we'll make it glass. And we'll add the image texture back. So I just undid that little fun detour that I took. So I'm going to go back to background, image texture, and then for res, boom. So now we have this little weird thing here. And I'm just gonna turn that down so you can still see through it a little bit. So, but now that we have different materials, we'll want to go back to our light paths that we had before, and it's like, okay, we do have a lot of transparency now. So we'll probably, so before we turned it down to 0, we'll probably have that match the rest as 5 or something. We can still turn this down to maybe 8. Transmission, keep that down to 5 as well. And that one, just go to 60 so it's faster. Adaptive sampling, check on. Transparent glass. And now if we just hit render, it should just come up. Yeah, see, look how quickly it's going now, just because of the difference in the scene. And so that took, so up here, that took 4 seconds. So if we were doing an animation, that's great. We can get it done in a pretty short amount of time and actually have it on time for class. But if it's a minute, you really, like, this is why you have to constantly keep checking yourself with your renders, just to make sure that whatever you have to is actually going to be turned in kind of on time. Because, like, unfortunately, it's not just, you know, with a poster, you make it, you're done with this, you make it, and then you have to render it and then just wait, which is, it's kind of nice to have that as a part of your workflow, just waiting, because it gives you like a little time to breathe. Whereas if with design, you can be making something for a very long time and it's just not working and you never give yourself a break. I know I did that a lot, but yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show you guys today. And yeah, it's been great. So.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate everything you showed. I did have a point to note about the SVG file. So I found out that if you just use like your shape builder tool and make it all one shape, then you normally don't have like those problems that I had earlier. But yeah, if it's not if like pieces aren't connected, then you just have to do what like you showed, Kevin, of like how to join them together. But yeah, I didn't make one big shape, so it kind of messed things up.
Yeah. And obviously, once you have your vector thing in there, if you you know, make it one shape and then you adjust the geometry a little bit, you can do things like, you know how in After Effects, like some people make their things melt or whatever. Well, if you didn't want to spend the time doing that, you can just bring your Illustrator file in here and then just add a melt modifier to it, and then have it render as like with the toon shader that I showed, and then you can trick David, you can trick Elizabeth. Like, yeah, I spent all this time in After Effects. I did that. But yeah, tons of stuff you can do.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. So if is this the end of the tutorial, should I just stop the recording now?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be sure.
So 100% of the time when everybody in here is in my motion graphics class next semester, if I see that, I'm going to say, show me the project file.
show me the file. Show me the file.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm stopping recording now.